I'm a bad mood, gotta keep it tight. Hold my baby squid, keep him out of sight. Talking about my life, government, stay away. If you drive, I'ma do it my own way. Squid in the ocean, swimming all alone. Ain't nobody telling me where to go. Living free, gotta stay true to myself. No need for interference from anyone else. Squid pro quo, that's the way to be. Living on my terms, setting myself free. I'm to my baby, protecting with my no government intrusion. I control my life.
Hey guys, it's Squid. Welcome back to the channel. Oh, I'm so tired, but you know, it is what it is. So, hey everybody, thanks for being here. And even if you're hate watching, thanks for being here anyway and giving me the watch hours. Y'all are awesome. I need to turn on this light. Hey Linda, try home. Hopefully you made it back. Flash fan, thanks for doing all your Miley stuff. Ung Hero, thanks for lurking. Thanks for not being creepy about it. And I am a stay-at-home mom. However, one of my friends owns a cleaning company, and right now he's a one-man band, so to speak. So when he gets a big contract, I help him out. So, you know, so it's kind of a job, but it's not like an every week, when he goes on vacation, because he's not from here. When he goes on vacation and he needs somebody to take over his accounts, like, that's me. So, hey Stacy. Woo, my mouse is being funky tonight. Penny. Tammy, you were chair dancing. Hey John. Fly on the wall. How are you? I love your name. Hopefully you don't lurk. Hopefully you talk, because I love that name. Linda. All right, so let's get into this. Oh, and thank you, Patrick, for gifting one Squid Pro Quo membership. And since I don't have YouTube Studio open, I don't know who that went to. So let me open my studio, because I literally just got home. I woke up the little from the car seat because she went to Nana's house. Gave her to her father, who was still awake, surprisingly, and went to grab my water, and I am hungry. So once we get this going, I'm going to run and grab a quick snack, because I had a protein shake about 4 hours ago, and you have another case for me? I have a case to send you. Don't know if it'll be streamed or not, but a Washington State woman is accused of taking out her... Ooh! Oh, that's an awful way to go, too. Oh, my goodness. Ugh. All right. We are going to... And Salty Dog, not really in Indonesia, got the membership. Thanks, Tammy. Alrighty. Let's get this show on the road, and I have it at 1.5 speed. We're gonna try to make it to lunch, or basically as far as I can go, because who knows. It's been a long day. Alrighty. And the state is expected to rest their case today. I did not watch all day. I was busy. Hey Musey, how are you? And I am going to... We skipped through dead air.
You all ready?
Just reading one nominator, we're trying to start our day with 3 stipulations.
This judge looks so thrilled to be here today. Hey Shane, how are you today? How's the future?
This morning, the parties have 3 stipulations for the fact finder to consider in this case. They're all going to be marked and admitted into evidence by agreement of the parties. Stipulation number 1 is marked State's Exhibit 294. Stipulation of fact regarding GBI toxicologist Carla Turner. Carla Turner is a forensic toxicologist with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. She tested the liquid from the white styrofoam cup recovered from the retention pond area by Sergeant Saunders on February 22nd, 2024. Her results were reported as follows. Ethyl alcohol result by gas chromatography, 65 proof. And there's a error rate in there of plus or minus 3. And that's going to be admitted as State's 294. It is signed by the state and counsel for the defendant.
Ow. Ow.
State's Exhibit 296 is a stipulation of fact signed by all parties,
Something.
stipulating to latent print examiner Ashley Haas, H-A-A-S,
Longer than
from the
me.
Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Ashley Haas is a forensic latent print examiner with the GBI. She tested the following items in this case. 3 black gloves recovered from the bushes at the apartments at 285 Millage Avenue.
Hey, Dennis.
GBI item numbers 2A, 2B, and 2C were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. She cut the gloves for this examination, but only after they were processed and photographed by the serology section. 2, Ms. Haas removed the barcode sticker from the Adidas black hat, GBI item number 39, and those items were visually, physically, and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. The Adidas stickers themselves from the hat have been marked and will now be entered as State's Exhibit 115. 2 rocks from the crime scene. Evidence markers 2 and 3 from the crime scene, at GBI item numbers 22 and 23, were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. 4, the styrofoam cup and straw from the retention pond at the crime scene, GBI item number 64A and 64B, were physically and chemically processed for latent prints with negative results. And that completes the stipulation at 296 will be moved to admitting at this time.
Defense won't be heard.
No, Your Honor. And then finally this morning, State's Exhibit 295 is a stipulation signed by the state and counsel for the defendant, and is a stipulation of fact regarding ACCPD Sergeant Timothy Stewart and Amanda Blair. Sergeant Tim Stewart and Amanda Blair testified before this court on October 11th, 2024, at a Daubert motion in the above referenced case. All parties hereby agree to admit the testimony of these 2 witnesses from that hearing and the exhibits that were introduced during their testimony at that hearing into evidence at this trial for the fact finder to consider. The transcript at the Daubert motion of these 2 witnesses will be made part of this trial record. Sergeant Tim Stewart's testimony will be admitted at trial as State's Exhibit 290. And I have State's 290 here, which is the transcript of Tim Stewart's testimony from the Daubert hearing on October 11th, 2024, along with his exhibits. And I'll move to admit State's 290. And for the court's recollection, Tim Stewart is the expert that matched the defendant's fingerprint to the phone of Laken Riley's, phone. Stipulation of facts regarding Amanda Blair, her testimony, she was the peer reviewer of Timothy Stewart and agreed with his conclusion. Her transcript has been marked and will now be admitted as State's Exhibit 289. And that completes the stipulations for this morning.
Anything from the defense on those issues? Any objection to those stipulations?
No, okay.
Let me make 2 announcements regarding yesterday's testimony and evidence. After hearing the music video translations, I do find that the evidence is not relevant and will not be considered. Those are the music videos. I think there were 3.
Yes, sir.
Also, as to the translated phone calls between the defendant and Laling Franco, those translations will not be admitted as evidence and will not be considered. After hearing the translations, I do find that it was more than contextual and therefore violates the Confrontation Clause of the 6th Amendment.
Yes, sir. Understood.
All right. Anything else before we start with evidence?
That's interesting.
Okay, you may call your next witness.
State cause Sergeant Sophie Rebu.
Last night, that's what I was doing. I was cleaning tonight. This is not what I went to school for.
You swear
But-
affirm the testimony you will give today in the matter of the state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
It is not mentally exhausting
If you
like
please
my
spell
career.
First and last name.
Sophie, and last name is Raboud.
Where do you work?
I work at the University of Georgia Police Department.
How long have you worked there?
I've been there for 14 and a half years.
Could you tell the court what is your rank? What are your duties and responsibilities? Where are you assigned?
I am currently a sergeant assigned to our criminal investigations unit, also known as CID. I'm a supervisor, and I also investigate crimes that come into the department.
I'll be right
Tell us a
back.
little bit
I'm gonna
about
grab a
your training
snack.
and education.
I have over 1,700 hours of training in law enforcement classes. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in criminal justice.
Did you assist other people in your agency into the investigation into the murder of Laken Riley?
I did.
I want to ask you specifically about a trail camera located outside of Building S. First of all, if you could tell the court, do y'all have a camera there? Tell us a little bit about that camera and how it works and how long it's been there.
So we have it's a mobile trailer camera made by Compass Security that we move around as needed. At the time, it was actually placed at the end of Rogers Road and Village Avenue Extension. It has 3-axis cameras that are attached to the boom that goes up that have been in place there for unrelated reasons.
When that camera, is it always recording?
Yes,
And are you able to, as a sergeant at CID, access that camera from your computer?
yes, that camera is actually connected cellularly through AT&T FirstNet to our campus safety camera system, which we are then able to access through the software that we use called Genetec.
And you can access that from your computer.
Correct.
What about the times that are depicted? Are there times depicted on the trail cam?
There are,
And on all the videos basically at your university?
yes.
And are those times synced with something?
Yeah, they're connected to our servers that run the camera systems.
So we know that the times that we see in the trail cam, and any video that's pulled by the university and at the university, are those timestamps accurate?
They are.
Were you asked to review that trail cam that we are talking about outside of Building S, Rogers Road, for the day of February 22nd, 2024?
I was.
And did you?
I did.
How many hours of that trail cam did you watch?
Probably close to 50 to 75 hours. We've been reviewing different, not just that camera, but other cameras as well.
And at this time, I'm going to ask a custody witness, and you may have one moment, counsel. I don't need to ask anymore, sorry. I'm handing you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 279. And while you're looking at that, I need to talk to the witness. Do you recognize State's 279?
I do.
What is it?
It's a thumb drive that contains a video from the trailer camera.
And you see your initials on that?
I do.
And did you not only put the trail cam video that we're going to discuss on that thumb drive, but did you also load on that thumb drive a enhanced version of the trail cam that was done by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Cyber Center?
I did.
And is that also on that thumb drive?
It is.
Of the videos that are on that thumb drive, have you watched them all?
I have.
And do they all fairly and accurately, are they accurate recordings of the trail cam video on February 22nd of 2024?
They are.
Say we've moved to admit States 279 with information published.
279 is admitted and unit published.
And I'm just looking for the Garrett Morton stipulation so that I can add this exhibit number to that stipulation. We can do it at a break, but I just need to be reminded to do that because when we admitted that stipulation, we didn't have this exhibit number. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thanks for tolerating me eating my yogurt during this stream. Chobani has the holiday peppermint perfection.
I don't know why it wasn't showing. No, we do have a
Freaking amazing.
There's a problem. The cord is in, but it's not tracking my screen. Oh, that's the one. Okay. See if I project it, if that will help. And do the old, let me unplug it and plug it back in.
Flash fan, I'm addicted to all things peppermint and chocolate.
Yes, sir. It is. Let's try again. No, it's not the same as my exact screen. Isn't it? It's not. Well, let's go FN, F8.
All right, we are.
So, Sergeant, in general terms, we're gonna publish for the record the video that is labeled GBI Cyber Video. But before we publish it, tell us a little bit about the video itself. Meaning, what time frame? Let's start with what time frame does it cover? The GBI Cyber version. And did you individually go in and pull clips from a certain time period?
Yes.
Let me back it up a little bit. Did you look at the trail cam video?
Yes, sir.
And did you see a person of interest on the trail cam video wearing a dark hoodie and a hat and some gloves, carrying a cup?
I did.
When did you first see that individual on the trail cam video?
At 06:52 hours.
And if you got to translate that for us, is that 6:52 in the morning
It is.
on the 22nd day of February 2024?
It is.
And how long do you see that individual on this trail cam video that day?
He disappears at 07:56 hours
Okay, so 07:56.
in the morning.
And so that's about a little over an hour then. You see that individual.
Correct. In and out of camera view.
And the clips that we have on State's Exhibit 279 where it says Jose Ibarra, are those the clips, part of the clips that you captured during that time period?
Yes,
And then the folder that's labeled GBI Cyber, did they merge all those together for you?
they did. I think there's 2 camera views.
So we don't have to keep opening and closing the clips, correct? The GBI Cyber video, did they miss one particular clip?
They did.
And what clip was that?
That was a clip at 9:42 a.m. of a blurb that we see in the woods going back towards this yellow at Azulik apartment.
You're going to move into the microphone. The blurb that you see going into the what apartments?
It's yellow at Azulik.
And is that a separate clip in States 279 that you've labeled Ibarra return?
Yes,
Did the trail cam also capture Laken Riley?
it did.
And did the trail cam also capture her roommates who went out to look for her?
It did.
So now that we've laid all that, we're going to start publishing the part that says GBI Cyber Video, okay?
Clarify one thing about the stipulation that by, we stipulated to the foundation and the admissibility, but we're certainly not conceding that the labels that have been applied to the files are necessarily accurate. Thank you very well.
Before I publish, we've got open the GBI Cyber folder. What is the date and time that we're looking at on the video? Please show us.
This is February 22nd, 2024.
And before we talk about what we're about to see, let's get a little context. Is there a bus stop here?
There is.
Can you point to the pointer? There's a pointer right in front of you. And in this frame, where's building S?
Building S is over here to the left.
And the road that we see that there's now a red line on, what road is that?
This part here is Village Avenue Extension. This is Roger Road where they connect at the bus stop.
She cannot hear you. I can tell by the way that she's shaking her head. You're gonna have to say that one more time into the microphone. Just say it again.
The road on the right is Village Avenue Extension. The road on the left is Rogers Road, and they come together at the bus stop.
In this frame, do you see a pathway to the Celia at Azul apartment complex?
I do.
Where is the pathway? Is that where the individual is coming out of at this point that we see in the frame?
Yes,
And is there another pathway to that apartment complex?
there is.
Can you show us that one as well? Okay, so that's further back. And if a person were to continue walking down Rogers Road, where would you end up?
At the very end,
Yes.
you actually turn to the right and it goes down to Village Avenue.
And is there a bigger road that is near here? Like, where's 10?
Blue pen is back here.
Okay, thank you. This bus stop, is that a University of Georgia bus stop?
It is.
I am going to pause at 6:53. In this frame at 6:53, do you see apartment 114 in building S?
I do.
Can you please point it out to the court? So it's the lit up door at the bottom floor of building S.
It's the southernmost tip of the building.
Did you not know that college campuses are full of cameras? Everywhere is full of cameras. What do you think? Is it acceptable? Mm-hmm. Okay. You want a pouch? Mm-hmm. It's right there. You want that? Yeah. You want that? You want mommy's? Okay. Understandable. You want to say hi? Yeah. Good, Christine. And I appreciate every single one of you being patient with me and
this area.
mom duties coming first.
Ever engage with any person. Do you see from 6:52 to 7:54 this individual go to the building S door?
Yes,
In that time frame, how many times does that person go to the door?
We're all done now. Okay.
6 times,
And can you
Works
see
for me.
on your video of the 6 times, how many times that person actually opens the screen door?
twice.
And the nature of this footage, how would you describe this footage? Is it great, grainy? I mean, how would you describe this?
At times it is good quality, at other times it is a little grainy.
Why is
Water
this?
always
That's the
tastes
question of the
better
camera.
when it
Yeah,
comes
it's-
from mommy's cup.
Connected cellularly, so
Okay.
sometimes when there's
Don't
motion,
tug.
it
You're not
you know,
21 and
quality
there's no
gets better.
shot.
There's no motion, it kind of, the quality disappears a little bit.
And did you make screenshots of the still video at some point in your investigation? And I hand you what's marked for identification purposes, State's Exhibit 85, State's Exhibit 84. Do you recognize those items?
Not yet.
I did,
What are they?
there are pictures of the individual that was seen
You
walking around the building.
And are those some of the screenshots that you made?
Yes,
The state moved to admit States 285, 284.
Any objection?
And were you all, or were you, in your investigation, attempting to identify the clothing and items that this person was wearing?
yes,
You
And
couldn't
your
take
review
your
of
food
this
today? Oh my
Video, were you
goodness.
able to see, first of all, gloves?
Who said you were allowed to get so big?
What color are they?
Who said
What?
so?
Were you able to see a cup?
yes,
Can you point to that? And then were you able to see a bag? And it may not be best in this video at this point, but in one of your still shots, can you see a bag?
yes, I did.
Can you please, I'm gonna just show it to the court. Is it where my finger is?
Yes.
Okay, I just need to do it.
Can I have some? Okay. I appreciate you, Flash Ram.
Oh, is that better view of the bag now?
Yes, it is.
All right, at 6:54.
Mommy first. YouTuber second. Okay. Taking off your socks. I know you hate socks. Welcome to. I know. Mommy made you wear socks tonight because it was raining. How horrible of me. I know. I know. Socks are the devil. Pants are prison. It's all gone, baby. It's all gone, honey. All gone. I know you're sleeping. No, it's fine. It's fine. Flash fan
At
for the light.
6:58, what door did that individual just walk by?
114.
She radiates heat.
We see him walking up to 114, and he's standing in front of the door. Now he's opening this outer screen door of that apartment. Now he walks back behind the building.
And now our next clip is at 7:06, so that's how Cyber just put it together. So we're not watching 5 minutes of dead video.
Correct.
But when you see him go to the back of the building, in the back of the building, are there windows in the back of the building?
There are.
And are there windows to 114 in the back of the building?
Correct, and it's on the ground floor, so it would be at, head level, chest level of an adult.
I like how this video is enhanced. That's kind of cool.
This 7:09 clip where I'm pausing, in what direction is now this individual going?
He's walking south.
Okay, and the IM fields from here, intramural fields, you're familiar with those, correct?
Correct.
Where are they in relation to where he's walking?
They're to the east of that, southeast of that, but you can access it by going south and then turning east.
Would this individual be walking in the direction of the IM fields?
Yes.
This is just reinforcing what the cell phone data said yesterday. And reinforcing that his cell phone matches up with this. He's in those clothes. Therefore, the clothes that were dumped.
So now we're at 7:33. So between 7:09 and 7:33, do you see this individual on this trail cam?
No, I do not.
Okay. Okay. Okay, you gonna go by daddy?
In what direction now at 7:34 is that individual walking?
He's walking north back towards Building S.
Yeah, this is surveillance camera footage from the apartment where that one girl called 911.
I'm gonna pause it at 7:39. So at the last clip that we saw at
Do you
7:33.
seriously want to walk on the treadmill right
go
now?
back behind Building S.
Okay.
And I asked you about the windows in
Okay.
Building S.
Hold on.
And is that space 276 has already been admitted? Is that what the back windows look like in the back of that building?
It is.
And how they were also on that morning?
Correct.
Just published in report 276. So he leads in that direction at 7:33 towards these back windows.
Right.
It's kind of. Hold on. There we go. You gonna walk? Yeah.
He's now standing in the cutout window in the stairwell.
What is that cutout window?
You going to bed?
There's a stairwell inside there and there's just a cutout, but they have.
And that's at 7:40.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, we are in the flail stage. Flash fan, I've been home with her all day. She's exhausted and she's fighting sleep. So I will be back in a hot minute.
What floor is he on now? 7:42.
He was on the 7th floor.
At 7:43, is that a UGA bus?
It is.
Does it pick up presumably students or the people that were waiting at the bus stop?
Correct.
7:44, what door did you just walk by?
114.
In the direction, and now we're at 7:46, so hold on. So it goes from 7:44 then to 7:46, so 2 minutes are missing because we clipped it together, correct?
Yes,
But
because
you watched all two minutes in between of 7:44 and 7:46.
I did.
All right. We see him disappear at 7:44. Does he go again around the back of building S?
Correct, he does.
And how many minutes later does he come back again to the front?
2 minutes.
And that's what we're about to see here at 7:46.
Yes.
Does he touch the door at that time?
It appears he does.
Right. And again, at 7, now we're at 7:48. Again, we lost about 2 minutes.
Yes.
In between 7:46 and 7:48, where does he disappear to in what direction?
To the back of the building, and then comes back.
So 2 minutes later, he's back at the front door.
Correct.
And that's what we just saw.
Yes.
And now at 7:48, again, where does he go off to?
To the back of the building.
Now we're at 7:49.
He's back at the door at 114.
Does he touch the door at that time?
It appears, it's hard to tell because of the quality of the video, but he doesn't open the door.
7:51 now.
He's just standing in the area,
And when he left the frame at 7:49, which direction did he go?
back towards the back of the building.
And then at 7:51, we now see him again on the screen.
Correct.
What do we see here at 7:54?
7:54, he had, from that 51, he had gone back behind the building and come back to the front of the building, and he was standing at the door.
And can you see him open the door here
Yes,
at 7:54?
yes.
And what does he do right there at 7:54?
He is ducking down,
What direction is he going now?
back behind the building.
And we just lost 2 minutes. We're now at 7:56. So you described he ducks down at 7:54.
Correct.
He goes to the back of the building.
Correct.
And then you don't see him again until 7:56. Is that right? So there's 2 minutes that we don't see in this clip, because we're going to sit here for all this time, where you don't see him on camera.
That's right.
So you see him again at 7:56. And in which direction is he going now?
He's going south,
Towards,
the IM fields. And here he disappears into the woods. There's no path there, just woods that he goes into.
okay, and I'm going to stop it here. So in this time period from 6:52 to 7:54, we've just watched all of that. Do you see, first of all, is this person alone or with someone?
Alone.
And have you watched in all of your hours of video review in this case, have you seen Diego Ibarra?
No.
In this time period?
No.
Okay. Have you seen him before?
Yes,
As a matter of fact, you swapped him. We're going to talk about that, right?
Correct.
Do you know what Diego Ibarra looks like?
I do.
And have you looked for him in all of these videos that you have reviewed?
Yes.
And on the 22nd day of February 2024, you ever see Diego Ibarra on this trail?
No.
Now I want to move on to the other clips, and then we're going to go back to your last clip that you made. Okay. So what time are we at now?
9:05 a.m.
What part of the trail are we on?
This is Village Avenue Extension, and it's coming towards the bus stop.
What time? And you said 9:05 a.m.?
Yes,
And do you recognize that individual we see in the screen?
I do.
Who is that?
It's Laken Riley.
Do you see what, if anything, she has in her left hand?
She is holding her phone in her left hand.
What direction is she running?
She's running south.
And was that also in the direction of the IM fields?
It is. She now went east towards the IM fields and the railroad tracks.
At 9:06 and 49 seconds?
Yes,
And now we are at a different time period. What time period are we at?
11:36 a.m.
What part of the trail are we on?
This is Village Avenue Extension.
And do you recognize those two individuals that we now see in the frame at 11:36 a.m.?
I do.
Have you met them before?
I have.
And what are their names?
Sophia Magana and Lily Steiner.
And the dog is?
Jim.
Is that Sophia's dog?
It is.
Which direction are they going?
You're going south.
Now what time are we at?
11:55 a.m.
And who do we see in the frame now at 11:56?
Sophia and Lily and Don Chan.
All right, guys. She's having a full-blown meltdown.
Now that it's the sun has come up, how would you describe the lighting that day?
Bye, Uncle Buck.
It was quite sunny that day. It was a little bit windy.
I have to load the Gen Tech player for this. This may take 1 moment.
Was that
We decided
the
to
fast
play
jogger?
this.
Was that the lady we saw yesterday that said she saw him and sprinted even faster?
So you told us you watched while we're waiting for the Gen Tech player to load. This trail cam for the entire day. What were you looking for?
Anybody that matched the description or anything that had suspicious activity.
It's up.
Full-blown meltdown. I worked tonight, so she was at my mom's because I had to leave the house before Mr. Squid got home. So she went to my mom's, and we got home, and she laid down with him, and then
I'm gonna
came
now
out
play
here.
Part of your 2
Full-blown
minutes
meltdown.
return. First of all, I'm stopping here. At what time are we at?
9:41 a.m.
Is this still the same trail camera?
It is.
And in this frame, do you see the cut throughs, for lack of a better term, to the Celia? How do you say it again? Celio.
Celio at Azuli.
Say it one more time.
Celio at Azuli.
Okay, was that the name of the apartment complex at the time?
It was.
Can you spell that for Madam Court Reporter?
CIELOAZYLUK.
Celio at Azul. Show us where the 2 cut throughs are to that apartment.
Can you make it bigger?
I can. One in the bottom screen, one in the middle screen.
Correct.
Play at 9:41. We see some red now coming through. Well, I just saw some red. Hold on, stop. I'll stop it. At 9:42 a.m., do you see the red?
Yes.
What's the red?
It's detecting motion. The camera.
And what do you see an image?
I see a blob. Appears to be a black blob
And in what direction is that blob heading?
going west towards the Celio at Azuli apartments.
And during this time period, when you watched all of this trail cam video, do you see anything else suspicious or that got your attention, or any other people that got your attention?
No.
I want to ask you about a few other things that you did in this case, Detective. First of all, did you review the cell phone of Laken Riley?
I did.
And it was extracted by your department?
It was.
Could you toddle over, Your Honor?
A flash in. She's a little bit too young for a book right now.
What is it?
It's a PowerPoint.
And did you create it from the data that was extracted from Laken Riley?
It was.
I said, Richard, I said 680.
Any objection?
This is exactly how I feel right now. And she's laying with her dad. He's supposed to be asleep because he gets up for work in 5 hours. But he's holding her and she's screaming, and like she wants me, but then I hold her and she like does that, sticks her arms up and becomes a, human slide and tries to get out of your arms. So it's like, yeah.
No objection. 280 is submitted.
I publish it this way because there's no animation in it. It'll just be. So states 280 on your first page.
That's just the title page of the PowerPoint.
Second page. If you could tell us line 1 with my fingers, can you read it, or do I need to give you a copy of it? Okay.
I can read it.
You can read it, great. If you could tell us, first of all, What was the time of Laken's last outgoing communication from her phone?
It was the 911 call.
Before the 911 call?
It was a text message to her mother.
Okay, you're gonna have to speak into the
It was
microphone.
a text message
Okay, a text message to who?
to her mother.
At what time?
At 8:55.
Okay, and do we see that here where my pen is?
Yes.
And what is the text?
Says, good morning, about to go for a run. If you're free to go.
And did she in fact call her mother?
She did.
At what time?
At 9:03.
And between 9:03 and 9:11, is there any activity in her phone?
No.
Okay. At 9:11, what happens?
She makes a 911 call.
All right, and we heard about that already yesterday about the SOS function, so I'm not going to ask you about that. So it looks like your next page is about the 911 call, correct?
Correct.
All right. And did 911 in fact call her back?
They did.
How many times?
Twice.
What is the last text message that was read on her phone?
It was at 9:02 a.m.
And her phone was locked. Tell us a little bit about that. What time was it locked?
It was locked at 09:03:57, which was immediately after she made the phone call to her mother.
And after the 9:03 phone call to her mother, the next activity is a 911 call?
Correct.
That we've discussed? And then you have that the phone was not unlocked again until forensically analyzed. What do you mean by that?
She never unlocked her phone through facial recognition again until we obtained that phone that night.
And extracted data from the phone?
Correct.
What time were the two 911 calls incoming to her after she called 911?
One was at 09:12 and 21 seconds and 09:12 and 39 seconds.
Were either one of those calls from 911 into Laken Riley's phone answered?
No.
At some point, did she get an incoming call at 9:24?
She didn't.
And who was that incoming call from?
Her mother.
Is that call answered?
No.
Is she then receiving texts from her family members?
Correct.
What are the time of those texts? First one down here at the bottom.
9:37:38.
And what is the text? Who is it from?
Her mother.
And the content?
Call me when you can.
Is that text read or returned?
It's not read.
9:51 a.m.
She receives a call from her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
9:53 a.m.
She received another call from her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
9:58 a.m.
She received a text message from her mother saying, "You're making me nervous. Not answering while you're out running. Are you okay?"
Is that text read?
It is not.
Is that text answered?
It is not.
Next call at 11:04 a.m. incoming from whom?
From her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
11:12 a.m.
She received a call from her mother.
Is that call answered?
It is not.
11:19 a.m. an incoming call from who?
From her sister.
Is that call answered?
No.
11:47 a.m. incoming text.
From her mother. It says, "Please call me. I'm worried sick about you."
Is that text read?
It is not.
Is that text responded to?
It is not.
12:07 p.m.
She received a phone call from her mother that was not answered.
12:20 p.m.
She received a phone call from her stepfather that was not answered.
And finally, were you able to determine when she was on her run if she was listening to music on her phone?
Yeah, she was listening to Spotify.
What is Spotify for the record?
It's an app where you can listen to music on your phone.
And just a few more questions, Sergeant. Were you the affiant on the arrest warrant for Jose Ibarra?
I was.
What was the date and time of his arrest warrant for the murder of Laken Riley?
It was February 23rd at 19:58, which is 7:58 p.m.
And that was signed by what judge?
Superior Court Judge Norris.
Norris. And in your affidavit for his arrest, did you note his height and his weight?
I did.
What is his height
He's listed as 5'7".
and his weight?
He's listed at 156.
And at some point in your investigation into this case, did you have the opportunity to take a DNA sample in the form of a swab from the cheeks of an individual named Diego Ibarra?
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that, and while you're doing that, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as States 281.
I made a search warrant, and it was signed by the judge on February 26th at 3:20 p.m. It was executed the following day around 10 o'clock.
How did you execute it? Just tell us what you did. Sorry.
I met with Diego Ibarra at the jail using gloves. I used a long Q-tip essentially and swabbed the inside of his cheeks.
And after you swabbed Diego Ibarra in that manner, did you seal those swabs?
I did.
And were they delivered to the crime lab sealed?
Yes.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
And the state moves to admit States 281.
Any objection to 281? No, sir. 281 is good.
Witness.
Good morning.
Good.
Exhibit already forgot the number, but of the phone, the summary of the phone search of Ms. Riley's phone that you just went through, when did you prepare that exhibit?
Probably about a month ago, so.
Okay. And since then, you were aware that,
Actually, I think that's probably 2-3 weeks ago, actually. Sorry.
so then that, I'm not sure about the answer to my question. Was that before or after, I don't know, sorry, Sergeant Officer Durkett had got some follow-up information about the phone?
He did what? I'm sorry.
Are you aware that Officer Durkett a couple weeks ago got some additional information regarding the details of Ms. Riley's phone?
I'm not sure exactly what details you're asking about. I've been in contact with Officer Durkett regarding the phone, and we together looked at it and analyzed the information.
Okay, but he testified yesterday about some follow-up analysis that he did very recently. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, and when was that done? I guess what I'm trying to get at is, was your exhibit prepared before that last follow-up analysis?
It was during that, when I was making that PowerPoint, we were discussing the fact of the phone and looking at the phone.
Let's see, and then the security video, the trail camera video.
Sorry, guys, I was super distracted. Megan Fox is on Rumble and played my Thunder Cow video, the one that she made a while ago and she hasn't released.
Obviously, so you're one of the lead investigators in this
Them
case.
talking about Baby
And there are a number
Squid
of agencies involved.
and Bruce saying a chatter was funny, which turned out to be his wife, which I have the IP addresses and I read them on stream one day. The IP addresses and what kind of device they have. And Bruce, you upgraded from an iPhone 13 to an iPhone 15. I'm proud of you. But
I noticed that in
16, bro, is where it's
Pasco
at.
County reports, Officer Charlie Krischer, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, it looks like Krischer, collected some discarded clothes from the park. You recall that?
I was aware of it. I
And then
wasn't specifically
the
aware
next
when
day,
he did that.
they said, well, we never said
Did
that.
UGA take custody of
Megan
discarded clothes? that
Put
he
both
collected
of the
from park?
videos back to back.
And then in your investigation, you became aware of some gloves that GDI located during a search of the.
I don't think so, but he's stalking me.
Did you ever go by
So,
the dining hall where Diego worked to see
you
if
know.
he was gloves?
I did not.
And then John Carlos, the other roommate, one of the other roommates. you learned
Oh, I
that
think
worked
it's
at WNB.
Because
That's like a wing restaurant. So
it's in a police report.
I did not.
So it's like, it's on record. I have the IP address traces from someone way smarter than me.
from that apartment that
And
with whom
ever since
contact
I
was
read
made
his
with
IP address
right, correct.
traces
And
on
that was in the morning of the next day on February
on
23rd.
stream, he's been very nice to me.
And that
But some
officers
people are
noted
worried
that
about
he
me because
they
he
swollen
seems
eye
to
and
be
red mark on his
obsessed.
face. Do you recall that?
Objection to outside her knowledge. The officer.
Yeah, but there's this one too.
They were on the scene with Diego. It was here yesterday. That is a question. It's also speculation. She was not there.
Or the
Can I ask it this way? Did you note those details in your report?
I did.
And then you also told us, you got a search warrant for Diego's DNA, right?
Correct.
And also a search warrant for his phone, Diego's phone?
Correct.
And you were made aware.
Objection, hearsay. It's going to be hearsay. I know it is.
No, it's not. It might-
Okay, well.
Gonna be hearsay. No, it is.
It's a report letter as well as a jury. So
So you became
if you're
aware.
gonna ask the content of a search warrant affidavit, it's going to be hearsay.
Well, let me.
Finish your question, and then I will hear the objection further.
Thank you. Were you made aware of a witness named Stephanie Slate?
And the next question is, what did she say is hearsay?
Let's see what that is.
You were aware that
oh my god, this prosecutor makes me laugh.
and you included some of that information in your affidavit.
I did.
I love the
Another
objection.
name
Like,
that came up as a potential witness was a jogger in the park named Clementi.
Correct.
I'm blanking on his first name, but Clementi is the last name.
Joseph.
And then also in your investigation,
oh my god,
you
She's
you
my,
were
like,
involved in these interviews with,
weird animal.
names that came to your attention through some driver app contacts.
I was with Detective Norris for some of them, not all of them.
And you made,
Well,
I believe
she's
you were
my
involved in
spirit
the,
animal. She really is.
Correct.
This is what the rain
and
does
then
to this
I'm
hair.
not sure about this one. Maurice Jones, were you involved in that one?
I was.
And then Victor Strong.
This is what, this is the,
Were any of those people shown lineups, photo lineups?
Yes.
Did those lineups include Posenko?
Yes.
And
holy hair.
able to.
It's not pretty. That's finger light socket. That's a white afro.
And you testified, you took out the warrants, February 23rd in that evening, correct?
Talking about the
The
restaurant?
arrest warrant.
Yes.
And then helped present the case to the grand jury to get the indictment that we're here on today. That was sometime in May, I believe.
Correct.
But your work continued after that, and you kept abreast of any new information.
Correct.
Okay. And that, were you made aware of the new information from the Butts County Jail 2 weeks ago?
I was made aware I was not involved in any way.
And, but you knew that's where Diego was being held?
I knew based off that information I had not known previously.
Did that prompt you to re-interview Diego?
I did not.
I am not.
Thank you, that's
But my psoriasis is acting crazy, so I have to get my ponytail. If my ponytail sits on my scar in surgery, it's irritating. So I have to put it up nice and high. Otherwise, if it touches my scar, it will.
Ask that she be subject to recall.
Okay. You can shut down, you're subject to recall. Thank you. You can call your next witness.
Tammy, I did get my hair routine for Megan though. That's when I started to embrace my curls or waves or whatever the heck they are. But like people do that for like because it's stylish or whatever. I have to do it because if it's touching my scar, especially when my hair gets stuck in the rain, I can't do it. He just walked on up there.
Photos that I'm going to be reviewing that is not going to be published on the overhead. I'm instructing that there be no pictures or video taken of those documents if there might be a glimpse during the exchange. I'm told that after that happens, I'll tell you there may be something else, and I'll lift the restriction. Does that make sense?
Menopause messes with everything.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Raise your right hand, please, sir.
I do.
Please take a seat, state and spell.
She
First and last.
still needs a dang
My name is
hair
Special
though.
Agent Lucas Beyer, Lucasbeyer.
What do you do for a living?
I'm employed by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation
How long have you been employed by the GBI?
since 2020.
What are your duties and responsibilities?
I am employed at the GBI's Athens Regional Office. I'm a special agent and investigator.
And tell us about your training and your education, or your training for your job.
I have been in law enforcement since 2015. I started with Georgia Probation and Parole as a probation and parole officer. I was hired by the GBI in 2020 and went through basic law enforcement academy and also the GBI academy. I have attended training for cell phone forensics. I have attended training for homicide investigations, child abuse investigations, and other general investigative tasks.
Are you a post-certified officer?
I am.
And were you the lead GBI agent assigned to investigate the murder of Laken Riley?
Yes.
Will you tell the court when were you assigned to that and what did you do in that regard in the very beginning?
I was assigned that role on Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Shortly after 1 p.m., I was contacted by my immediate supervisor, Assistant Special Agent in Charge Heather Strickland. She advised that the University of Georgia Police Department was requesting GBI assistance in reference to a death investigation.
I'm sorry, can you come into that microphone just a little bit more because I make sure that I'm court and everybody can hear you. Thank you. So you were advised that the University of Georgia requested assistance. Go ahead.
Yes, I was advised that the University of Georgia requested assistance in reference to a death investigation, and I was dispatched to an area on campus known as the Intramural Fields and Lake Herrick area and the Oconee Forest Park specifically. I was told that there was a deceased female that had been located in that wooded area. When I arrived at the scene, I met with UGA PD personnel, specifically Major Hammock, and he provided me a briefing of the information that they had gathered so far.
What time did you get on the scene?
I arrived on the scene at approximately 2 p.m.
And when you arrived on the scene, was Laken Riley's body still on scene?
Yes,
And did you assist your special agent Daniel Stewart in processing the scene, or were you on the scene that day?
I was on the scene that day. I did not assist in processing the crime scene. There were some things that I did assist with, such as gathering measurements. I also later helped look for a cell phone, but as far as the collection of physical evidence, I did not assist with that task.
And that who did that
Who's
task?
Danny?
Special Agent Danielle Stewart, Detective
hear
Saunders from
her.
the University of Georgia Police Department were primarily assisting that task.
How long were you on scene that day?
I remained on scene that day until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
In your, and so then how did this work? Is a GBI an assist agency? Tell us about that. You nodded your head, so you have to say yes or no for Madam Court Reporter. Is GBI an assist agency?
Yes, the GBI is an assist agency.
And so what does that mean?
That's
The
how I
GBI rarely opens their or has original jurisdiction over their own
Otherwise, they
investigations.
wake
We
up
are assisted,
horrible-
or excuse me, we are
horrible
requested
map.
by chiefs of
Nuts.
police, local sheriffs, judges, district attorneys, fire chiefs. So it has, or elected officials can request the GBI to investigate a case. Also, we do not respond as a standard police department or patrol officer would to a 911 call. We have to be specifically requested by another law enforcement agency to initiate an investigation.
And after you were requested, your agency was requested in this case, and you were assigned lead, did you work this case with the University of Georgia Police Department?
Yes, I did.
And specifically with Detective Preston Morris, did you two work together?
Yes, we did.
And have y'all been working together on this case basically since it occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? I'm going to hand you what has been marked for identification purposes as 286, 287, 288, 298, 297. I'm going to ask you to keep these in the folder while you're looking at them, please, and keep them low.
I need to dye my hair again. You can see my roots.
Do you recognize those exhibits?
I do.
What are they?
These are screenshots that I captured from Sergeant Maxwell's body camera footage. That body camera footage depicted the moments that he initially found Laken Riley's body.
The state would be to admit those item numbers.
Any objection?
No objection.
Here, 286, 287, 288, 297, 298.
You have 1 moment.
Is he chewing on his pen like a toddler?
I am going to tender this exhibit to the court in the folder for them to be discussed. So, Investigator Lucas, as part of your, Special Agent Hyder, as part of your duties and responsibilities in this case, did you do a great deal of studying of Laken Riley's clothing and how it was on the scene?
I did, yes.
Let's start first with what you personally observed when you arrived on scene at 2 p.m. Go ahead and start. First of all, just tell us what you saw about her clothing in general, and I may ask you some specific questions.
At the time that I arrived on the scene, Laken Riley was still located on the scene, as I previously stated. Her the garments that were covering her torso, jacket, sports bra, they were completely removed from her body and they were lying on the ground next to her. She was still wearing shoes, socks, black pants, and we could also observe underwear that she was wearing. They were tan or pink in color, and they were poking out from the top of her, the waistband of her running pants.
Her running pants, were they above or below her navel when you saw her body?
They were below her navel.
Okay. And did you see the back of her body?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So how would you describe the top of her pants versus in the front versus the back? Were they even or were they uneven?
They were uneven. The back of her pants were significantly lower than the top of her pants.
You could see her underwear protruding. What do you mean by that?
I could see the underwear protruding from the top of her pants on the front of her body. The waistband of her pants had been moved, and the underwear was poking out from the top. As I just stated, the backside of her running pants were pulled down, exposing the top of her buttocks.
Did you go back and review Sergeant Maxwell's body cam to see what her clothing was like when she was originally found by the UGPD police officers?
Yes, I did.
And is that part of the photos that we've admitted for the court for their consideration?
That's correct.
Okay. How would you, first of all, describe her running tights and her underwear? Was it in the same manner in Sergeant Maxwell's body cam as it was when you saw it?
Her pants and her underwear were in the same condition in the body camera as when I physically saw them on scene.
So her underwear was protruding like you saw it on scene?
Correct.
What about the top layer of her clothing? What was it the same?
No.
Okay. So how would you describe the clothing that you studied in Maxwell's body cam at the top of her body?
The clothing on top of her body had initially in the body camera when Sergeant Maxwell found Laken Riley. Her jacket and shirt and sports bra that she had been wearing were heavily manipulated, and the clothing was pulled up extremely high above her breasts, which completely exposed her breasts. The jacket and shirt had been pulled up on her back, and all of her clothing items were bunched up around the back of her neck, and they were also pulled up off of her shoulders from the rear. Everything was pulled forward.
Go ahead. I
The
was asking about the sports bra. Did you see her sports bra?
Yes, I did see the sports bra. The sports bra had been manipulated so that it had become the outermost layer of her clothing. The sports bra, as I was able to see in the body camera, was wrapped around her upper arms. They were wrapped around her triceps, and I was able to identify that was the sports bra in the body camera footage, because the bottom of the sports bra, as it would have been worn, the bottom layer that would have been below her breast was a pretty distinctive ribbed material, and I was able to see that ribbed material in the body camera footage wrapped around her triceps and her upper arms.
Were you also part of the investigative team in making decisions about what to test and what not to test in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're aware that Laken Riley's part of her body was swabbed by the medical examiner?
I'm aware of that, yes.
Like her neck and her wrists and her ankles. And were those swabs tested by your laboratory, the GBI?
No, they were not.
And why not?
They were not tested because we knew that there had been at least 3 males that had touched Laken Riley's body without gloves when they were rendering aid and trying to save her life. We also know that there were additional males that had rendered aid to Laken Riley after the initial 3 officers had tried to render aid to her.
And would those be EMS and firefighters?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
We also saw in body camera footage that Sergeant Maxwell and Corporal Bridges, as they were the first ones to discover Laken Riley, they were equipped with whistles, and they were blowing the whistles to try and signal other officers where their position was in the wooded area. As they were performing CPR on Laken Riley, we could see in the video that those whistles would occasionally touch her body, and it was likely that the whistles coming out of their mouth and then touching her body was depositing saliva on her person.
And at some point, you left the scene that day. Did you go to Bolt Dining Hall?
I did.
What is Bolt Dining Hall?
Bolton Dining Hall is one of the dining halls on the University of Georgia campus.
And what was your purpose for going there, and when did you go?
I went there on Friday, February 23rd, 2024, along with University of Georgia Police Department Major Hammock, in order to look at surveillance video from inside Bolton Dining Hall. We had received information that Diego Ibarra was employed at Bolton Dining Hall, and we went to the dining hall to look at the surveillance video to see if he had gone to work on the day of the murder.
And did you observe that video for yourself?
I did.
And were you with Major Hammock at the time?
Yes.
And just tell the court, what did y'all do? How did you see the video for yourself? You pulled up and see it?
Yes, we went to the Bolton Dining Hall administrative office, and we were allowed to look at a computer screen, and the Genetech security system was pulled up on the computer screen, and we were able to go back to specific dates and look at those dates and the surveillance video associated with those dates.
And is the Genetech is Genetech and University of Georgia's Police Department audio and video surveillance system tied to their server?
Yes, it is.
And so are the times and date stamps on their videos accurate?
Yes, they are.
And were you asked for purposes of today to burn clips of the video that you saw for yourself on February 23rd of 2024?
I was.
And did you do that, burn clips of what you saw?
Yes,
And then what's been marked, State's Exhibit 282, you recognize 282?
I do. This is a thumb drive that contains clips of Bolton Dining Hall surveillance video.
And do those clips fairly and accurately, and are they an accurate recording of what you personally saw for yourself on the 23rd day of February 2024?
The clips contained on this thumb drive are from the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
My question was the day you saw it for yourself.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes, these are accurate clips of the 23rd that I observed on the 23rd.
So you pulled 7.
So I don't know about Georgia, but Iowa, apparently it didn't matter. The Tyler Daisy did not show up for all 3 days of his murder trial, and the defense's case was like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. It was the most pathetic defense I've ever seen, because he did it. Like, it's one of those things of like, I don't understand why some people just don't take a plea deal or just plead guilty. But I think he wants to see his handiwork, because you can choose to believe in whatever you want to believe or not. But I believe Busey when she says this might not be the first time he did this. So one of my goals for this week is to look up unsolved murders in Athens, Georgia, El Paso, Texas, and New York, New York. So I have some notes that she told me yesterday that I'm going to just look and see, because there's apparently one person that's murder hasn't been solved that might be connected to him. You can believe that if you want to, choose not to believe it if you don't want to. It's just interesting. And I like things that are interesting.
Several days of video.
Yes, sir.
You did that on the 23rd is when you saw it.
Correct.
And so the video that's contained on 282 has other dates on it that precede the 23rd.
That's correct.
Is it an accurate copy of the videos that you saw?
Yes.
Same with you to admit States 282. And just like the previous video for the court and counsel, we attempted to narrow the clip so that we're not watching hours and hours of video. And so that's what we're going to do. They're still not as short as maybe they could be, but it's certainly better than multiple hours. So I am publishing with the court's permission 282. Charlotte, never mind, bro. It's not going to.
Yeah, I think he gets some sick, like.
So what days did you look at and what days did
weird.
you make clips of? Let's start with that.
I observed Bolton Dining Hall surveillance video from February 20th, February 21st, and February 22nd.
So
we're first publishing the first clip, which is the 20th. And tell us the time stamp on this video.
The timestamp on the video currently is 3:06 p.m. on February 20th, 2024.
And in your investigation, first of all, have you had the opportunity to actually see Diego Ibarra in person?
Yes,
And so do you know him when you see him?
I do.
And do you see him in this video?
We will see him in this video.
All right, we'll just let it play. We'll just let it play.
Diego Ibarra is currently on screen.
Okay, well, I'll wait till he gets a little closer to the screen.
While this is happening, I told, I promised the media I would tell them when they could publish, and I could, a few things. This is one, they can start reviewing.
Yes, sir. Thank you for my,
Yes.
yes. And wait, and if I could add, how my thing is letting me come back.
That'll be fine.
It is paused.
I saw bits and pieces of this part, but
I'm pausing it at 3:08 p.m. Who is that individual?
That is Diego Ibarra.
What do you see him wearing and carrying?
He's wearing white shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, and a gray baseball cap. He's holding a gray, small gray backpack.
So you have tattoos on his neck?
He does.
Do you see those in this video?
I do.
Please point those out for the court. Use the pointer next to you. It's right next to you.
Tattoos can be observed on the back of his neck here. There's also one behind his ear here.
Thank you.
I want a tattoo behind my ear. That weird?
Does that complete the 20th clip?
It does.
What was his shift time at this dining hall?
His shift was from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.
And I want to go to the next day, February 21st.
Correct.
I'm going to play that at this point.
Yeah, Tammy. I don't think that's a changing room.
422.
There's also
They
Diego
look more
Ibarra
like-
arriving to work at Polk Dining Hall.
Change your shoes.
White shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, a red and white baseball cap, a small gray backpack, and a blue jacket.
I want to ask you questions about that jacket when we see it in a little different position.
Thanks, Dennis. We're only going till lunch.
And back up a little bit.
I will stream the rest of it
This at 4:42
on normal
PM
time
is where
on
in the
Wednesdays.
video on the 21st. The backpack that you see in that video, is it same or different than one that Jose Ibarra was published on his social media?
It's different.
Okay, let me-
I have to work out extra hard since I went and grabbed some goldfish. At least there's no, contains bioengineered food ingredients. Megan streamed from
And
today
when you-
about the
Stacey
food that take it
247
down.
has already been admitted. Are you familiar with that image and that person?
I am.
Who is that person in 247?
This is a photo of Jose Ibarra.
And you see him with a bag in that photo.
I do.
Is it the same bag that we see here?
No.
Okay. How are they different?
Diego Ibarra's backpack is slightly larger. It also has 2 shoulder straps on it. This bag is smaller and has a single strap.
And as the investigator in this case, the GBI, did you personally, and many, many GBI agents along with you, look for that bag that you see in State's Exhibit 247?
Yes.
Did you ever find it?
No.
Hey, I don't think he does. What would that benefit him? Yeah. They're baby squids. They're not great for her, but I would rather have her eat this than potato chips or, you know.
Now publishing the 2/21/24 clock out video. What time is it now?
The timestamp shows 10:58 p.m. on February 21st, 2024.
I mean, it's not the absolute worst thing. No dyes. but it's got a nitrate in it and vegetable oil. Yeah, the colorful ones have the dyes in it. Those aren't natural colors.
Who do we see now in the frame at 10:59?
That is Diego Ibarra.
Okay, I want to talk to you about this jacket. So this jacket that we see him put on, I'm going to ask you some questions after we watch it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it have a hood?
It does.
Does it have an emblem on it?
It has an emblem on the rear of the jacket at the top right shoulder.
When you see that emblem, I want you to tell me to stop.
It's
the
not
video.
crack if you have to modify
It's
it.
not, no.
Okay, you see the emblem?
I do.
Point it out.
The emblem is located right here.
And what type of emblem is that?
It appears to be a logo for North Face.
And you're familiar and you have seen the jacket that was recovered in the dumpster in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a North Face jacket?
No, ma'am.
Is this a different jacket?
It is.
It literally tastes like a cheese pizza. I wish they were non-GMO, but yeah. Every once in a while. And this is Diego Ibarra's alibi. He was at work.
Does that complete the 21st?
It does.
Did Diego Ibarra go to work on February 22nd of 2024?
Yes, he did.
And what time do you see him on video on that day?
Mr. Ibarra is shown clocking into work at approximately 3:57 p.m.
So at 3:57 p.m. on the 22nd day of February of 2024, where were you?
I was at the crime scene.
Had Laken Riley's body already been discovered?
Yes.
Had you, ACCPD, GBI, University of Georgia Police Department, had all of y'all already responded to the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many police officers do you think, state, federal, and local, had descended upon the University of Georgia at about this time?
I would have a difficult time putting an accurate number on that, but it was numerous law enforcement.
More
that
than
were-
one?
Yes, more than one.
More than 10?
Yes, ma'am.
If a person were on this campus on that day, would they know something's up?
Yes, ma'am.
And Bolton Hall, is that on the University of Georgia campus?
It is.
So he shows up to work at what time?
He shows up to work at approximately 3:57 p.m.
And I'm going to stop it right there. 3:57 p.m., what is he wearing?
He's wearing white shoes, black pants, a gray t-shirt, a black and red baseball cap, and he has a small gray backpack. He also just deposited a gray or white jacket into the locker.
On that day, is he wearing a black Adidas baseball cap?
No, ma'am.
Well, that's good to know. It's like some people get a lot and some people get none. It's literally the luck of the draw. But thanks for helping me make a little bit of mama money.
Is that Diego Bar again at 3:59?
It is.
And the last clip now at 2:22:24. What time are we at?
Timestamp shows 11:03 p.m.
Do you see Diego Ibarra again?
Yes.
What's he wearing?
White shoes, black pants, gray t-shirt, currently wearing a black Georgia visor, and he's holding a white towel.
The downside to these is I have to go wash my hands.
What's he putting on now?
A gray or white hoodie.
I
and a
love
red and black baseball cap.
honey mustard and onion.
On the 22nd day of February 2024, do you see him wearing a black Adidas hat?
No, ma'am.
Do you still see Diego Ibarra there?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Across the town.
Good morning.
Mr. Fire, you were speaking to Ms. Ross about the crime scene. I kind of want to start there. You were explaining your rationale for not testing some of the swabs taken from the camp. Was it your call what was sent to the GBI lab in this case?
All evidence that was collected, including the swabs, were sent to the lab. We had collaborative discussions with the lab and amongst the investigative team what they would request to be tested. There was also input by lab personnel on things that they would not test.
And so the decisions were made by a combination of you and other GBI personnel, you would say?
That's correct.
So I want to talk to you about some black gloves. Did you ever observe black gloves collected from the residence where Jose Ibarra lived?
I did not personally see them, but I'm aware of them, yes.
Okay. Are you aware that they were not found in a box, but they were found in a drawer?
Yes.
Okay. You went to Bolton Dining Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. While you were there, did you ask to see what kind of kitchen gloves they used?
I did not.
You were aware that Diego worked at Bolton Dining, as we just discussed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to clarify for the record the times you mentioned him clocking on each day. On February 20th, he clocks in at 3:08 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
February 21st, he clocks in at 4:43 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
And on February 22nd, he clocks in at 3:57 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
How far is Bolton Dining Hall from Diego's apartment?
Approximately 10 minutes.
And is 10 minutes a drive or a walk?
According to Diego, he generally took a bus or he had a friend take him.
And were you able to confirm that there was a bus route that could have transported him from near his apartment to Bolton Dining Commons?
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
see where they
And
go
would
with
that
this.
bus route include the stop near Rogers Road, that bus stop for UGA buses?
Yeah, it would.
So he regularly used that bus stop.
Now
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
just snacking for the sake of snacking.
And it was, like you said, it was about 10 minutes, you said?
Approximately, yes, ma'am.
That's what happens when I don't eat dinner.
You were at back to the woods, you were at the crime scene for several hours, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Tim Stewart from the Athens Police Department ever come by the crime scene?
Yes, ma'am.
What time was that?
That was early on. He was, I believe he may have been at the crime scene when I initially got there. At some point, he departed the scene.
Would that have been like 3 p.m. or?
Yes, ma'am. It was early on.
And you mentioned that several male individuals had attempted to render aid to Laken Riley without gloves. Were those the initial responding UGA police officers?
Yes, Sergeant Maxwell, Corporal Bridges, and Sergeant Epps.
Are you aware if the EMS personnel wore gloves when they handled her?
They did. The body camera depicts the firefighters and the paramedics wearing gloves.
And you mentioned you had a chance to, in detail, observe Ms. Riley's body.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you notice that she had fingernails that stuck out from her fingers a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you notice that there was blood?
Thanks, King Bob, for the gifted membership.
Not personally. I didn't get that close. I didn't want to disrupt the scene
Sure.
Beyond what I needed to as a case agent.
Did you review the photos later?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they show that there was blood underneath her fingernails?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it fair to say you were kind of in charge of and aware of any investigative action taken by the GBI in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're aware of that there were 2 interviews conducted with Juan Carlos,
Yes, ma'am.
and one of those was on February 22nd, the day, or sorry, February 23rd, the day that you all got involved.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a follow-up done, I believe, in March, was it March 4th?
I believe it was March 4th. If I can reference my notes momentarily, I can give you confirmation of that. Yes, Monday, March 4th was the follow-up.
Similarly, our Hannah's with interview been took on February 23rd,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you were involved in the follow-up interview with him?
Usually I'm good, but today,
That
Not so
follow-up
much.
interview was conducted on, I'm going to apologize, Friday, March 1st.
Are you aware the follow-up interview was done with Diego Ibarra?
It was not.
it's a peanut butter sandwich.
You're aware that GBI agents found black and orange latex gloves at a trash can across from the apartment on February 23rd?
Yes, that particular trash can was across South Village Avenue, near a gas station.
Were
Man,
those gloves collected?
I believe
you're
so,
like
yes.
the only one.
That I do not know.
You must be getting all the ads for
Those
everybody.
gloves were determined to not be of evidentiary value because they were most likely associated with law enforcement personnel that had been in the area on the 23rd. There were
Did you review footage to confirm that?
not personally, no, ma'am.
And then you're also aware that there were some discarded clothes found near the intramural fields on February 23rd?
There were some discarded clothes that were located behind the Argo apartment complex near a walking trail. I am aware of the collection of those clothes. I also observed the officer's body camera of the collection of those clothes.
And were those clothes tested?
They were not. The clothes were determined to had been lying on the ground for an extended period of time. I did discuss those clothes with crime scene and forensic personnel, and we determined that it was unnecessary to test those clothes because they were not of evidentiary value.
The contents of Diego's bag, did you ask that those items be tested,
No, ma'am.
including the black gloves that were found in them?
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Was there any observable blood on Diego's black gloves that were in his bag?
No, there was not.
And if there was, would you have sent those to the crime lab?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say, you use the word Argo Apartments. Does it also have another name?
It does.
Can you tell us that name, please, for the record?
The name of the apartment complex at the time of the incident was Celio at Azalyoke. It is also currently known as the Grove at 5 Points.
And you were asked about clothing that was recovered near there, and you said something about it had been on the ground for some time. What do you mean by that? What did you observe?
The clothing had vegetative matter on it, sticks, leaves, twigs, pine straw, and the
Pine
clothes
straw,
appeared
famous
to have
down
been
here.
wet several times and dried out several times, and they had the appearance of older articles of clothing that had been lying on the ground for an extended period of time.
And if there were any blood on that clothing, would you send it to the crime lab?
Absolutely.
And Diego was interviewed by you, is that right?
That's correct.
What was the date?
That interview was conducted on Friday, February 23rd, 2024.
And did you ask him questions?
I did.
And did he answer your questions?
He did.
And the gloves that were recovered inside Jose Ibarra's apartment, D126, were they in a common area where anyone could access them?
Yes.
And the trail cam video from 2/22 of 24, the one that building S, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
You're familiar with that video?
I am.
Do you see Diego on that video at all that day?
No.
Can I have one moment, counsel?
Just one moment.
You have a channel that would answer dashboard
When
questions.
you interviewed Diego Ibarra, you had a chance to observe his demeanor,
Yes, ma'am.
and he's not particularly helpful.
He answered all of my questions.
Dashboard,
We conducted the
like-
interview for approximately an hour and a half. He was calm. He was generally respectful. He answered all of my questions.
But you would agree that he's not particularly helpful.
I don't know if I would agree with that statement. If he answered my questions and he agreed to talk to me and we conducted that conversation for an hour and a half, I would say that was helpful and an overall positive interview.
But you chose not to re-interview him later.
I did request to re-interview him later. He is represented by counsel on some unrelated charges, and I requested permission to interview him from his attorney and was denied that opportunity.
Just a moment.
The charges are the federal court.
They are.
And what are the charges?
They are possession of a fraudulent green card.
And in your hour and a half that you spent with Diego on the 23rd day of February 2024, did you appear to be injured?
No, ma'am.
Did you see it? It looked like you'd been in a fight or anything.
No, ma'am.
See scratches on you.
I did not.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Mr.
Nothing further.
Can you be excused?
Yes, yes, sir. But maybe hopefully, I'll work it out.
Okay, you can go down. Thank you.
I feel like these
We'll take 10-minute recess.
I feel like these defense attorneys are trying, but they're just asking questions that don't really pertain to, like, they're not bad questions, but they're just like, what's the point? Like, you're not getting anywhere. You're not introducing reasonable doubt. It's just, you're just there. Like, I don't understand the, I don't know. Yes and no. If you go into your own settings on your own account, there will be a setting that says something like make my YouTube or make my subscriptions public, and people can actually see who, like when you subscribe to someone, they'll get a notification that says this person subscribed to you because you've made your notifications public, where your subscription is public. But if you uncheck that,
Witness issues, for lack of a better term, and so the state agreed to permit them to call this witness out of order. So at this point, they're going to call their witness, and then we'll go back to our case.
This is an ACCP officer who's off shift. Okay. So I'm trying to get him in so he can get back to work tonight. Officer Charlie Krischer.
While that's happening, and just to make sure it's clear on the record, I need to go over with your client his right to testify or not testify, but if you agree to delay that until the state's case is done, just want to make sure that you have that opportunity.
Yes, sir. I think that it would be helpful to do that after lunch, I believe, once the state rests and that gives us an opportunity to speak with Mr. Ibarra one last time. If you would please, Officer Krischer, raise your right hand. You swear in the matter for this court to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. All right. Have a seat. If you could, just state your name and spell it for the record.
Yeah, my first name is Charlie, Charlie, last name Krischer, Krischeger.
Right. Officer Krischer, I'd just like to direct your attention to
okay,
February 23rd of this year.
before he gets started, so if you go to your YouTube, like your own settings, so you go up, click your little icon, and you hit settings. If you go to notifications, there will be a thing here where it says subscriptions, and it'll be crap. Oh crap. Your preferences, and it'll be like I have, yeah, where is it? There's a notification that says like make your subscriptions public. Let's see. Oh yeah, subscriptions. So you go privacy, keep all my subscriptions private. So if you don't have that checked, people will get a notification when you subscribe to them. So, but if you put that on, then when you subscribe to someone, they can't see you, or they don't get a notification that says, Squid subscribed to the Wilborns. So settings, privacy, subscriptions. So there you go.
You're at who do you work for?
I work for the Ethics Liability Department.
And this is now the defense's
And were
case.
you working that day?
Yes.
All right. What were you doing that day? If you could just tell the court what your role in this investigation was.
So on that day, I was working my normal shift, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was called on scene in reference to translation. Because the suspects were Spanish speaking only. My first language is Spanish, so I was called on scene. But it looks like University of Georgia had the officers already there conducting interviews. So my supervisor just told me, go on the east side of the apartment complex, walk around, see if you see anything, and call it in, and we go from there.
Okay. And so just if I clarify, your role was to just kind of patrol and do police work, look for
Correct.
anything suspicious.
Correct.
All right. Did you, in your search around that apartment building, did you ever find anything that you thought was suspicious?
Yeah, by the tree where there's like a path where people can walk in. Behind there's a stop bus in that area. Behind it there's like some trees. I found a pile of clothing. Seems like it's been there for quite some time. It's wet. So I called it in, and University of Georgia officers arrived and collect those items.
Okay. Did you make a report about finding that pile of clothes, or was your role to just call that into the officers?
Correct. My role was just to call it in and to the officers.
Okay. Do you remember who those officers were that you called that into?
No, I do not.
And again, just to clarify, you thought something was suspicious, and it was this pile of clothes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what was included in that pile of clothes?
I don't. All I know is that there was a pile of clothes in there. I didn't touch it, didn't process it or anything.
Okay. Did you have any further role in any of this investigation?
Regarding to the clothes?
No, just in general. Did you transport anyone for?
Yes, I did transport Ibarra.
Okay.
He's received.
All right. And you did make a report about that because did you collect some of his clothes?
That's correct.
Okay. And
You
was
silly
part of
flashbang.
that collection, was there a hat that you collected? Could you describe that hat, please?
It was a black Adidas hat. It had the logo, the normal logo, light color.
Okay. And was he wearing that at the time that you collected it?
When I arrived and when I arrested him, he had it on his side, like he put it on the side of the window with his backpack.
Okay. Was he ever wearing it when you saw him?
No, to my recollection.
Okay. When you arrested him, did he say that it was his?
Yes, he said that it was part of his belongings.
Okay. And that's why you took it?
Yes.
All right. That's all the question I have, Judge.
Good afternoon. Good morning. You first told us that the clothes have been there for quite some time. What did you observe that made you think that?
It was wet and he had a lot of debris on top, like
I just keep it real, Flashman.
a lot of gravel, stuff like that, and it seemed very tarnished.
And you did call the University of Georgia Police Department, they responded and collected the clothes?
That's correct.
And you just said when you transported Diego Ibarra, did he tell you that was his hat, or did he say that's part of my belongings?
That's part of my belongings.
Meaning of all the stuff that he had on him that day, that was
Correct.
his, right?
Correct.
Did he say it was exclusively his hat?
No, I did not ask any more questions. I just asked, "Hey, is this part of your stuff?" And he said yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Nothing further.
Can you excuse? Any objection to him being excused, Ms. Ross?
No, sir.
You're excused.
Why do defense witnesses call
Yeah,
in
that's
cops
case, and because we're just in this order right now, to make it easier, I'm just gonna recall Sergeant Daniel Saunders. He's outside.
that
Sergeant
have
Daniel Saunders?
absolutely nothing to do with the case? Don't provide any useful, don't help you blow a hole in the prosecution's case. Every freaking defense attorney does it, and I don't understand the point.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. Please swear affirm
That
testimony you will give
helps
today will be
prosecution more than a
the truth,
defense.
versus Jose Ibarra, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Please take a seat. State and spell your name.
Daniel Saunders, Daniel, last name Saunders.
And are you the same Daniel Saunders that testified, I believe, on Friday?
Yes.
And in this particular case, Sergeant Saunders, now Lieutenant Saunders, did you receive clothing from ACCPD, specifically Officer Kirshner, the guy who just left? Did you see that guy leave?
Yes.
Okay. Did you receive clothing from him that was recovered around on the 23rd day of February 2024?
Yes. Officer Hubbard with our agency collected clothing items that he had found.
Did you look at those items?
Yes.
Did you see any blood on those items?
No.
Did
That's
you see anything suspicious? about those?
awesome.
No.
Could you describe those items? Did they appear to be weathered?
Yes.
Tell us what you saw.
The pair of pants had green rust corrosion on the button that had kind of spread away from the button. They were stained with dirt and it looked like they'd been there for a while. Outside.
Outside, exposed to the elements.
Correct.
And if you had seen blood on those items, would you have tested it?
Yes.
Would you have sent them to the crime lab?
Yes.
In your opinion, do those items have anything to do with this crime?
I don't believe so.
That's all right.
You're aware that there was at least one officer who disagreed with your assessment that the clothes have been there a long time.
I'm not sure how he determined that they had been there a long time or a short time.
But you're aware that somebody else observed the clothes disagreed with your assessment.
I can say Officer Hubbard wrote in his report that it appeared that they had been there recently.
No further questions.
When you observed those clothing items, where were you?
I was at our agency at the station.
And in your laboratory?
Yes.
Were you able to pull them all out and look at them individually?
Yes.
Is it your opinion they were all weathered?
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah, the other guy saw them bunched up,
Johnson.
didn't see them, didn't touch them to pick them up, look at them, inspect them. Once again, I don't understand what the point of the defense doing that was.
Valencia?
It's weird. It's bizarre.
Would you raise your right hand, please, ma'am? Do you swear from the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If you could please take a seat and adjust the microphone so you're speaking loudly into it. And could you tell us your first and last name, please?
My name is Valencia Johnson, VALENCIA JOHNSON.
I like that name.
I work at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation as a lab technician in the trace evidence section.
How long have you worked at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
5 years.
What is the trace evidence section?
So the trace evidence section is where we collect materials. So trace evidence are materials that are usually microscopic in nature that can be transferred between persons and objects when they come in contact with each other.
What are your duties in the trace evidence section?
My main duty is the collection and preservation of trace evidence, primarily hair and fiber, which is called processing.
Were you working in that capacity at the GBI in February of this year?
Yes, I was.
And you're still working in that capacity today?
Yes.
I want to direct your attention to your case number 2024-1005107. What are the individuals associated with that case?
We all know what he was
Laken
trying to
Riley
say.
and Jose Ibarra.
And when an individual or when items of evidence come into the crime lab associated with an individual, are they given their unique case number?
Yes.
And is the unique case number for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for the murder of Laken Riley 2024-1005107?
Yes.
And when items of evidence come into the GBI, then do you all give them a case number inside the GBI? The items of evidence individually. Meaning, if I send you 100 items of evidence for Laken Riley, do you number them in the crime lab?
It's all the same case, but they get unique numbers.
So under that same case number, each item of evidence will have unique case.
Yes.
So with that background, I want to ask you a few questions about items of evidence that you observed and saw and processed in this case. I want to first ask you about some gloves, black gloves and a jacket that you received. And just for the ease, if you needed your February 2026 report. Did you receive 3 black gloves and a navy jacket?
Yes.
Could you tell the court, first of all, on what date did you receive those items and what are those item numbers for the GBI?
For-
And you need your recollection of the report, just let us know.
I received those items on February 23rd, 2024.
What is the GBI number for
Hey.
the 3 black gloves that you received?
Item 2,
And what is the GBI number for the jacket?
item 3.
Oh, we're doing this. She
And
grabs-
those,
She goes and grabs a pouch from her snack
that has already been-
box,
and here's some gloves that you need.
and I open it for her, and she doesn't want to.
I state exhibit 149, and since I'm already here, if you want to move that, 147, and put your feet, okay? So first, starting with state exhibit 149, you see your name and initials on that exhibit.
Yes, I did.
And what is the item, the GBI item number for that exhibit?
It's item 2.
And are there?
Oh, we're having a night. We're having a night. He's so wet.
Yes, there are.
Were you the first person at the crime lab to receive those gloves?
I was the first person to work on the gloves.
And to work on those gloves, or when you worked on those gloves, first of all, what did you do with those 3 gloves?
I processed them for possible hair and their fiber.
And how did you do that?
I looked at them under a stereo microscope.
And what did you do with the things that you may have, or did you recover anything from these?
I recovered possible hair and or fiber from item 2A and item 2B.
And
Have a good night, Tammy.
Individual association 2A, 2B, and 2C.
Yes, I did. I sub-itemized them.
And did you observe the condition of the gloves when you received them at the crime lab?
Yes, I did.
What were the condition of these gloves when you received them?
The gloves were damaged. They had holes and possible stretching.
When you say holes, might be a silly question, but what do you mean by holes?
There's like a hole in the item, so the outside, you can get inside them through that hole.
You could see through them.
Yes,
And after you processed the gloves, where did they go in your agency from there?
they were transferred to the forensic biology section
What do they do in forensic biology in general?
in general. So they test for serology, which are fluids, or DNA.
And when you received the gloves and you observed the holes and you collected items of evidence from it, did they pass on to forensic biology?
The collected materials, we keep them in our section.
The gloves themselves went on to forensic biology.
Yes.
The jacket, did you receive, it's at your feet, if you could look at that. I think it states 147. And do you recognize that item?
Yes, I did.
Did you process that item at your laboratory?
Yes.
What did you do to the jacket states 147?
I processed the jacket by tape lifting it, except for the neckline and cuffs, and I did a visual with a magnifying glass on those areas.
Did you observe hair on that jacket?
So we don't usually note where possible hair and or fiber is on the item exactly because it can move around in the bag, but there was possible hair and or fiber collected.
And do you recall seeing it on the jacket when you collected it?
Yes.
And the hair that you collected off that jacket, what did you do with it?
They were packaged and kept in our section in case it was requested for them to be analyzed by our hair or fiber analyst.
And looking at that jacket, do you recall where on the jacket you saw hair?
I do remember one place where there was possible hair and or fiber around a button.
And the jacket, when it left you, after you processed it, where does it go from after leaving you?
After leaving me, it was transferred to the forensic biology section.
Did you have the opportunity at your laboratory to look at the clothing of Laken Riley?
Yes, I did.
Did you find a key in Laken Riley's clothing?
Yes,
Where did you find her key?
I found the key in her jacket.
Did you have the opportunity to process the fingernail clippings of Laken Riley?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to hand you what you're marking for evidence of state 319.
Say the number again.
319. We have lots of things marked already in between photographs, and we will leave this up to the medical examiner who's outside. States 319. Do you recognize States 319?
Yes, I do.
Do you see your unique GBI case number that is associated with Laken Riley on States 319?
Yes,
And do you see your initials on 319?
I do.
What item number within that case number did you assign or the GBI assign the fingernail clippings of Laken Riley?
Item 18.
And what did you do? And is that what you're holding right in front of you, item 18?
Yes,
Say move to States 319 and link it up with the medical examiner behind here.
You objection to 319?
I just think it's premature. No objection.
Do you see your initials on 319?
yes,
Are they at the bottom there?
yes.
Okay, just show it to the court. Okay. So what did you do to States 319?
I looked at the item under a stereo microscope.
And what, if anything, did you observe when you did that?
I observed the nail clippings, but I did not find any possible hair under fiber.
So no hair or fibers underneath the fingernails?
No.
And did you look at the right hand and the left hand?
Yes,
And if you had found hair or fibers, where would they have gone?
they would have been collected and kept within the trace evidence section.
I'm going to ask you a few more questions about a few more of the items. Did you look at a cutting from a tree?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do to the cutting from the tree?
I performed a visual with a magnifying glass and removed any possible hair under fiber I found.
And I'm going to hand you, and did you look at some rocks?
Yes,
I'm going to hand you all those items at the same time. Was already been admitted. What's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 89. What's already been admitted as State's 87 and 88. And again, my numbers are very different than your numbers. If you could first with 89, you recognize State's 89?
yes, I did.
What is it?
It is a cutting from a tree.
And did you process that in the trace evidence section?
Yes, I did.
And just so we can be clear, what GBI item number was State's 89 or is State's 89?
Item 24.
Item 24 for the GBI.
Yes,
Right. And did you, what if anything did you discover on that exhibit, State's 89?
I removed possible hair under fiber.
And was that sent on to, where was that stuff sent on to?
And after I was done, it was transferred to the forensic biology section.
And then State's Exhibits 87 and 88. Do you recognize those items? And you can actually take them out. Do you first of all, do you recognize your signature on those items?
Yes, I recognize my initials.
And do you recognize your unique GBI case number?
Yes, I do.
And if you could tell us for States 88, which is in your left hand, what is your GBI case item number for that one?
Item 23.
And in States 87, what is your GBI item number for that?
Item 24. 26, sorry.
So 22 and 23. And what are these items physically? And if you need to, you can look them up in the academy. Do you need to? Yeah, go ahead. Hold the mic. I opened one with States 88, you opened 87. So 87, did you see that item?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with States 87 at the lab?
I performed a visual exam using a magnifying glass and removed any possible hairs under fibers I found.
And did you see hairs on that item?
Possible hairs under fibers.
Thank you for correcting me. Possible hairs, right?
Yes,
And did those hairs go on to your trace evidence section?
yes.
Thank you. And then I'll put that back in while you look at States 88. I'm gonna ask you the same question about States 88. What did you do to States 88?
I processed this item by performing a visual exam using
Hey,
a
guys.
magnifying glass,
Um,
and I removed any possible hairs under fibers I found.
I'm gonna have to call it a night. Baby Squid is not having a good night, and we are not we are not stopping crying for nothing. She is not happy. She won't even come to either one of us. She'll get close to us, turn around, and run away. So we will stop it here, and we will pick it up tomorrow, probably around 1 o'clock. Thanks guys for hanging out. Really have to get going. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, but Baby Squid takes priority. Y'all know that. Have a good night, guys. Sorry to abruptly end it, but I love you, but I love her more. Bye.